I would go to new gold mines and return home with gold and riches. Even out of Troll's way. But Troll followed Day10 like a shadow. Ballarat, a place where poor peasants would become rich men and strangers could become best friends. Or worse enemies. Luck could strike anywhere, anytime. Life on the Goldfields was wild, chaotic, and dangerous. Everybody knew that there were places you should never go, and men you should never cross. Everybody that was except Ted. He resented the heavy tax inflicted on the Chinese arriving at Melbourne. So, like thousands before us, we got off the ship at Robe and marched more than 250 miles to the Goldfields. We arrived exhausted 3 weeks later. But the stories were true. The rivers really did glitter with gold dust, although everyone knew the real fortunes were hidden deep underground. Such mining needed heavy equipment and lots of money, much more than we had. So we became tributaries to a mine owner, slaving down here in the dark for a small share of whatever we found. And we found a lot. In fact, one of Ballarat's richest mines, the Warhol Canton mine, was operated by a group of Chinese a few hundred yards behind you. Oh yes, there was gold here, all right. But it didn't come easily. The air was thin and stale. The dust stuck to your lungs, and the darkness played tricks on your mind. And then there was the sound that froze the blood of every miner. The sound of creaking timbers. When you heard that, you got out as fast as you could. I found enough gold to know I was close to my fortune, but Tim was getting impatient. He'd started picking over the ground already worked by Europeans, looking for gold that may have been missed. When word got out that he'd found gold outside the old Keneally mine, I knew we were in trouble. Keneally was a giant, an Irishman who loved a fight and hated the Chinese. It was the night of the New Year celebration at the Chinese camp. So much noise and excitement. Keneally crashed into the camp, attacking everyone in his path. Men rushed all around. No one knew who was fighting or why, and no one really cared. There was screaming and yelling. We escaped arrest, but Tim had been badly injured. His body was bruised, his ribs broken, his pride crushed. Tim and I returned to the mine, but he struggled, and the pain was more than he could bear. But I knew the sooner I found my fortune, the sooner I could take my brother home. I had to believe Father's prophecy. We had to keep trying. And then, one night, it happened. We prepared a section of wall for blast. Tim lit the fuse. As the dust settled, we saw it. The first bright glint of yellow in the darkness. Tim climbed in for a closer look, and the whole shaft lit up with a golden glow. He was yelling and laughing. He was his old self again. I stood there, frozen. It had all been worth it. We were finally at our journey's end. Tim ran to me, his face shining. We danced and sang like children. That's when I saw the jade talisman lying at my feet, in pieces. What did it mean? I didn't have to wait long to find out. By the time we heard the sound of the timbers, it was too late. We were trapped, and the gold was lost under tons of solid rock. And we found our gold only to be buried alive with it.
To your name will find great fortune in a far away place, and will bring gold to the house of your ancestors.
No! I can't leave him! Let me go! Let me go! I have to save my brother! That vision of gold, the thought that it was still down there, how could I turn my back on Father's dream? Right up to the moment I died, my very last thoughts were of this place. Tem took my body back to China to rest with honor among my ancestors. But he returned to Ballarat. The prophecy was right after all. The heir to my father's name did find fortune in a distant land, in his wife and 2 beautiful sons. As for the gold, it's still waiting for one lucky person to claim it. When that day comes, I will return home. Until then, my spirit waits here to protect those who come in search of it. As they come to this place, seeking their destiny, whisper to them from beyond the shadows. Whisper the story of 2 brothers, of treasure lost and fortune found. And if they listen carefully, they might learn that fortune comes in many forms, and the greatest treasures might be right in front of you.
So I'll show you this depth map that we've got here. So we've got the surface up here where we come from, and we're here at 60 feet, so approximately this height, and this is one of the drives that we've walked across. So the men back in the 1850s, mainly 1860s, they went down to a depth of 1,100 feet. So this mine shaft, this shaft here, is that actual one over there. That's the new, the North Normanby shaft. That's the original shaft from the 1860s. The one that I showed you up there is around about 1900, so they replaced it with that one there. So that's the original one over there that you can see. So that's actually that shaft there that's going down. And then you've got all the drives that have come off it where they've gone in and mined for gold from the quartz reef. So as I said, 90 feet, which is approximately there, you have a water problem from there down. You don't pump the water out. So at 60 feet, we don't have a water issue whatsoever. The water's beneath us at the moment. That gives you some sort of idea on how far down they actually went with regards to climbing up a ladder. Imagine climbing that ladder all the way up if the elevator failed.
It would take about how many hours?
An hour and a half. A fit
From
man.
1,000?
From there, yeah, an hour and a half. A fit man, it would take him an hour and a half to climb the ladder. But if he had somebody above him who can't climb as fast, well, it's going to take him longer. As I said, imagine adding 3 hours to your 10.5 hour day already. You know, that'd be just way too long. We're here. It's 60 feet, yeah. Approximately. So yeah, so they went down a long way for the quartz reef. Like that quartz reef that I showed you around the corner with the gold on it. That's what these drives are. They're dug in to find the quartz reef. So amazing. Back then.
Right.
Let's go back to the satellite.
That you'll never be lonely. Be the fan, that's what
they call me. I promise that you'll never be lonely. Peter Pan, that's what they call me. I promise that you